Next up is Shawn Harshaw. Made it all the way down here from Norman, Oklahoma. He's got kids here in Texas.
Hello. My name is Shawn Harshaw. I've been divorced since 2004. I have 3 kids, 20, 18, and now 15 and a half. And I can kind of tell a good story as far as the aftermath. I know a lot of you've probably got younger children. You're in the middle of the divorce process, maybe freshly thereafter, but I can kind of tell you a little bit about how the aftermath happens to teenagers through a very messy divorce that has been perpetuated by our court system. And so essentially where I'm at right now is I'm basically estranged from almost all 3 of my kids. My oldest one still talks to me. My 18-year-old is hooked on some sort of methamphetamines, and my 15-year-old doesn't speak to me at all. Parental alienation, which is a big part of this whole debacle, is what my kids have suffered from. And the funny thing is that, there's been studies that the Texas Bar Association, the American Bar Association is very well aware of, where they took 700 children from divorced families and did a 12-year study on them. And they found that 80% of the children had some form of alienation. But yet it's never mentioned. There's no special groups that they have. There's no special counseling that's awarded by the courts or anything of that nature. They just say, well, guardianship to one and be done with it. It's a money deal. And so, that money deal is the heart of our issue. This is a multi-billion-dollar business. I'm sure y'all have heard this a million times, but you got to follow the money. At the end of the day, when the money issue is corrected, all subsequent issues will fall into place, I believe. And when these court systems and these judges and these lawmakers are funded by Title 4D of the Social Security Act, it's never going to correct itself. People will fight tooth and nail to protect their money, just like you would fight to protect your money. And they're going to fight nonstop until we gang up against them and have the masses awaken and are knowledgeable of this situation, until we are in their face nonstop, even if it has to be on a federal level to change what's happening. The funny thing is that we have federal laws in place that are conflict with state laws. And so, even though we have civil rights, it's so funny. In 1964 is when the Civil Rights Act was put into place to end segregation between blacks and whites. Just imagine now, even though it's been 30, 40 years, if you walked right in these doors right here and there was a black water fountain and a white water fountain, what would happen? What would happen? How many people would show up to these courthouse steps if that were to happen? I promise you it'd be in the droves, black and white nonetheless. But yet, these laws that are conflicting are happening, and above your right to maybe share the same water fountain or maybe share the same restaurant, which was not the case 50 years ago, we can't share the right to parent our own flesh and blood in the way that we see fit, which is, I think, the most basic of all rights. And so yet, it's going to take more than 50 people or 100 people to change those things. And, the African Americans, they did it, man. They got tired of it, and they came up here, and they marched down the streets, and they got it overturned. Now, that same thing has to happen now. That's the only thing that's going to happen. It has to be in numbers. My children are the dearest thing to me, and the fight now is pretty much over. I've done all I can basically do. The courts have awarded, parental, or a guardianship to the mother. She is plagued. I've been in and out of court 30 times. I've had 5 different lawyers, and nothing has changed. No matter how many times I go in that courtroom, nothing will change. The outcome is the same. And it almost took me until some of these groups were formed for me to realize really what the root of the problem is. And the root of the problem is the money. If you're going through a divorce right now, maybe if you've gone back for modification, nothing is going to change. You can go in that courtroom, you can find better lawyers. I mean, I had lawyers that I paid as little as $1,500. I had guys had $40,000 retainers. It doesn't change. Nothing will change. You're basically walking into a courtroom that is like a Broadway play with paid actors, highly paid actors. And they're acting as if they're here to help you. Well, we don't know. There's no guarantee. We'll just see what the judge says. I'm in good with the judge. We've heard it all before. But it doesn't matter whether you pay the inexpensive lawyer or the Minton Law Firm like I did. You walk right down the street, Minton Law Firm, best one in town. Doesn't matter. You will be in the same position when you walk out as when you walked in. Less money, less rights, and the same old story. This is where it has to happen. This is where it has to change, right here, behind us, right here where the laws are made. And until that happens, we're going to be, each and every one of us will be faced with the same thing that I have. And maybe 15 years from now, after you've been fighting as long as I have, maybe your children won't speak to you. Ultimate price to pay. But I would say fire your lawyer. Don't use the guy that says he can help you, because he can't. The deck is stacked against him. He is in the same money-fed organization that the judges, both lawyers, and your fate will be behind closed doors in the back room with the judge, and they won't even be talking about your case. They'll probably be talking about brunch on Sunday. And oh, by the way, let's handle this case, by the way, since we're here. There's no thought put into it whatsoever. So that's all I have. I appreciate everybody's support. I'm glad everybody's come out, and I just hope that you guys don't have to go through some of the things that these stories that are told today have had to go through. Thank you.